Hey, 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 Dr. Joe from Atlanta. Welcome to Your Wellness for Life. It is Sunday. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a great Sunday. I sure did. Went for a great walk this morning and worked some outside. It was beautiful here in Atlanta. Again, Dr. Joe to Your Wellness for Life. And we'll have an interesting discussion today that's kind of a continuation of what I was talking about yesterday. I'm talking about boomerang kids. And you may be wondering, what is a boomerang kid? It's not a kid playing with a boomerang. It is a child. And by the way, I don't want to call them kids. I don't want to call them children, although they will always be your children. They're young adults by the time they are boomerangs. So it's usually here I go. It's a young adult that graduated from high school or college and maybe was on their own for a little while and had to come back home. And none of them really want to do that. And it's always seems to be kind of discussed in a negative fashion. I'd like to kind of put a positive spin on that. And I remember when I left home and then came back to my old bedroom, my parents kind of left it the same. It just felt a little weird. And so they don't really want to do that. So yesterday we were talking about lessons to teach your teen to minimize developing a boomerang child. And it's usually, now the statistics say that 1 out of 3 young adults um, between the ages of 18 and 35 or so are currently living with their parents, mainly because they can't handle it financially. Um, Delayed marriage is another reason, but it's probably mostly the financial one. And this is a phenomenon that we've been kind of dealing with for the last 20 years since the great stock market crash of 2000 and then the Great Recession 2008 has really put a damper on jobs. And there may not be lots of relief on the horizon, especially with the pandemic of 2020 and now we're 2021, and maybe from a job perspective, economic perspective, it'd be maybe more of the same. So this phenomenon will continue. And so these tips are kind of helpful if you still have kids in the house and you're trying to teach them some skills to minimize them becoming boomerang kids. Take a look at my Facebook Live from yesterday. You can also see that on YouTube under 2YourWellness4Life. Today we're going to talk about making the best of your boomerang young adult. And to begin with, there are some statistics that aren't great when you do have a boomerang child. And these are Gallup research studies that have shown that young adults that move back home are less likely to be married. And it's currently something like 1 out of 4 will never get married. They're less likely to be full-time employed ever, often do not have a college education, and seem to be less satisfied with their life. And they basically admit that they're struggling. And on the flip side, it may have an effect on the parents. Now, if the parents still have kids at home and you have one moving back, it apparently doesn't really affect the parents until they become empty nesters. Now, if they become empty nesters and all the kids are out, and now one or more kids moves back in, it really kind of changes things because those parents have kind of gotten set in their ways. They're not empty nesters. They may feel like that's not really what they wanted, is have kids move back in. But whatever it is, there may be situations where that is really beneficial, especially if you've got a parent that's got a health problem, like my wife with her brain tumor. We had a daughter that moved back from college and helped drive her for radiation therapy and chemotherapy. That was wonderful. And then she moved on. And then we had a son that moved back from college and kind of did the same. And so you have to kind of look at the benefits of that. You can't always look at it um, in a negative way, but you don't want them living with you forever. So there are five strategies or five things that you may want to think about to try to get them to maybe someday actually move out of your house. Now, the first one is to have an honest discussion with them, talk to them about the future, their future, and make some kind of an agreement with them. Now, some people call this tough love and wanting to actually make it a little uncomfortable for them. I don't think I would do that because that may burn some bridges, and then you may have a child that may never uh, feel compelled to help you with anything. So probably don't make it too toxic, maybe a little toxic. But anyway, make an agreement with them. And you may want to come up with some financial expectations that you expect of them, some responsibilities, household rules, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And so that's suggestion number one. Make an agreement, have an honest discussion with them about their future. Number two, uh, consider charging a nominal rent or some nominal fee. Now, they may not, because they moved home because of financial problems, they may not have the monies available to pay a whole lot, but there's still some things that they can do. Um, and you may want to try to address that. And if they get a job or have something, some cash flow going, they may be able to help pay with some groceries or gas or things like that. And this will be an effort to instill a sense of responsibility and budgeting skills for them, which will help them later on. So that's number two. Consider charging a nominal rent or some kind of fee. Number three, discuss and agree to some household uh, duties. And these are simple things like doing their own laundry or maybe help with some meal preparations. The laundry one is probably a big one. And again, this will help them later, especially if that's a skill that they've never learned. Number four, establish some ground rules, especially if you're truly an empty nester and now all the kids are out and you've had some move back. You want to be pretty clear about, especially overnight guests. You want to at least have them check with you that that's going to happen so that you kind of know. And if they decide not to come home, it just should be common courtesy to let you know that they're probably not going to make it home or they spend the night at a friend's house or something. So establish some ground rules so that it's not just completely loose and they come and go whenever they want. And then the fifth one is resist the urge to bail them out. So, as a parent, you want to help them out, and you may have this urge to co-sign for a car or co-sign a credit card or something. Probably not a good idea because that will make you dependent on them financially, and that won't teach them the right lessons. So resist the urge to bail them out or co-sign on some things. So we're talking about boomerang kids, making the best of your boomerang young adult. If a child's moved back in, especially if uh, one of the parents needs some help, that's great. Or maybe those parents have some aging parents that need some help. I've got a 97-year-old father who sometimes needs something done. It's kind of nice to dispatch your boomerang kid, your boomerang young adult to the rescue for something like that. So those are the five um, tips, the five suggestions on how you handle your boomerang young adult that's moved back home. Again, 1 out of 3 are currently living at home between the ages of 18 and 35. So here are the 5 tips again. Have an honest discussion with them about their future. Make some kind of an agreement with them. And maybe even have a target date when they plan to move out. Number 2, consider charging some kind of a nominal fee, whether it's rent or just paying for groceries every once in a while. Number 3, discuss and agree some household duties, like having them do their own laundry. Number 4, establish some ground rules, coming and going and having overnight guests. And the 5th one, resisting the urge to bail them out financially and co-signing things. So I hope you had some benefit out of this. And if you need the source of my information or what I discussed yesterday about the 9 tips on how to prepare your teen and have them not become a boomerang child, reach out to me, send me a comment, send me a message, and I'll be happy to fire that off to you. So, on that note, have a wonderful Sunday evening, and we'll catch you all tomorrow, Monday. Uh, have a blessed evening and good night. Bye.